So, I promised a story time video for today. It's almost sunset because it's been a busy day. So what I thought I'd talk about today is what it was like to finish everything in Montreal for GRS and head home and finish my recovery. So, hang on, let me try to move this so my face just going into the sun. There we go. All right, look at this big thing. Anyway, pick on my own faults. So, it's a very busy time. I was extremely homesick in Montreal, and I decided that instead of waiting, I've said some of this before, instead of waiting for my flight, I kind of told a little porcupine and ended up telling them my flight was 12 hours earlier. So they dropped me off at the airport at 4 o'clock in the morning for a 5:30 in the evening flight because I told them it was like at 5:30. So I went to the airline counter. I talked my way on to an earlier flight, and they didn't mind as long as I was willing to sort of bounce around the country on the way home. I had like a 6-hour flight to get home. So what I did there is I ended up going from Montreal to Calgary and then Calgary to Vancouver. I was so excited that I got on that I just gave them my bags. Here you go. And then once I did that, and again, some of this will be rehashing from the GRS video. Once I did that, I was able to kind of limp my way down to the screening point. And when you travel, you have to carry the dilator pack with you. Okay, I'll show you what it is in a bit. You have a letter that allows you to take it, so if they pull it out at the screening point, who cares really? I mean, you've been through hell for a week. So I get down to the plane and I realize that I'd left the special donut pillow they give you to sit on in my check bag. That's my problem now. So I sat on my foot all the way across the country on those 2 runs. I ended up getting a lot of swelling because you already have a lot of swelling from the surgery as it is. I got a lot of swelling and I couldn't pee. That's a huge problem because up until the day before, I'd had a catheter in to help recover. And I knew with my background, my medical background, that's a big deal. And I set a limit for myself. If I couldn't go to the bathroom by the time I landed in Vancouver, I would go to the hospital. Not something I want to do. It's a lot of explaining to doctors who may or may not be skilled at this. Canadian doctors are usually very good with it. So what I ended up doing was going to the 7-Eleven that's in the airport and getting filled one of my ice bags, and I just iced everything until I got to the ferry to come back over to the island. I fixed the problem. I've said before that GRS recovery is very much a mental game. The surgery is very straightforward. Okay, they've been doing it for almost 100 years. It involves an inversion and two V-like cuts on the outside. I'm not quite sure why they're there. Somebody's been through and they know. Please tell me. So you have a lot of open wounds to manage. You have all kinds of seepage going on. You got pads on. It's just, you've been through the ringer. And because nowadays they don't give you a blood transfusion unless you need it, you've got a bit of a hypovolemic situation going on where you don't have the normal blood volume. The plasma in the blood replenishes quickly, but the red blood cells do not. They take, I think they said, up to a month. That's a problem because that's where your red blood cells is where you get a lot of your endurance from. So that's something that your energy is sapped. Like even standing for a while is like, oh, I got to find a place to sit down, and then you don't want to sit, right? This is the thing. The whole operation takes place in the middle of you, where you stand, where you sit, where you walk. Everything is affected. So it very much becomes a mental game. This is why I've always advised everybody since I did this surgery is to be mentally strong. Don't, if you've got depression, get it handled. Do it anything you can, because you need to be strong to go through this. Physically, I didn't find it terribly painful. I got through most of it on extra strength Tylenol. Travel day, I did take oxycodone. I did take the occasional oxycodone in Montreal, but for the most part, extra strength Tylenol. So when you're recovering, you have to, I call it riding the pain wave. Based on your pain tolerance, you have to stay ahead of it. Don't wait till you're, oh my God, I'm in agony, I need something now. Wait till you're in the middle where you're more or less treated and comfortable. And when you start to leave that, that's when you get your next medication. Don't wait till it's worn completely off, because you'll go through huge cycles where you're at the end of the drug here, pain, high, and then you've got to wait for the new one to kick in, so you get this trough of pain, and it's not worth it. You're not serving anybody going through that. Now, going home, for the first 10 days, you have a lot of wound management, because you're guarding against infection. You've still got about maybe 8 days at home before everything is really healed. So your cleanliness is the key. Now, mixed with that, you also have a pretty strict dilation schedule. Now, this is what I'm going to show you here. Dilators are something you insert in and you leave in for a fixed period of time. It varies by doctor, and they get bigger around, right? And I'll show you. This is what the set looks like. So my friend who's going next week will get one of these. They're numbered for you, which is kind of cool. The purple one is gone because it's just pointless. And when you first start in Montreal, this is the one you use. These things are made out of the same stuff as like a snooker ball, a pool ball. They're very, very hard. There's nothing delicate about it. They're not a toy. They're also about $300, so don't break them. They have a slight curve in them, and they have little gauges on the side so you can make sure it's getting into the same amount of depth, right? Now, saying that, as your swelling goes down over the first year to 18 months, you'll find that if you're here, by the end of it, you'll be here, right? So just be aware of that it's not a big deal if you lose a dot, right? You do this 4 times a day, and it's for this one. Then you go to the green one as well. It's slightly bigger. And then, I hate this one. The orange one, and it's just huge. There's a hair on it. It's just huge. Keeping these things clean is a bit of a chore. It's dishwashing soap, and then let them air dry. For my part, I take a medical wipe. They're purple little wipes, and I wipe them down afterwards and before I use them, right? For the first little bit that you're here, you're home, this dilation is basically your life. It's four a day, 4 times, and then after a couple weeks, it goes down to 3 times, and then after I think 4 or 5, they give you a schedule. It just keeps decreasing. And anyway, after a year, you only have to do it once a week. If you have a regular sex partner, then you don't have to do it at all. So it's kind of a good thing. This is the one thing that really, where the mind game comes in, because a lot of people, they lose sight of the fact that the intensity and the level of doing this is temporary. I'm down to once a week because, of course, I finished the surgery like 4 years ago, and I'll tell you right now, I only use one of them. It's all I need, and it doesn't. I can do it before I even get up on one morning a week, and then you just go to the shower, you clean up. To help them go in, you use this stuff. Okay. Now, you have to have a lot of it in the beginning. When you come home, a lot. And I remember going to Costco because I had a little list of all the stuff I had to get. I had lots of hand towels. When I say hand towel, this is what I mean, hand towel, okay? So this stuff here is the best. I had this stuff called KY. I bought it at Costco, and when I went to the checkout, I mean, I'm putting like 12 tubes of it on. I looked like I was running a whorehouse, because it was just, the whole belt was full of KY, because I'm just going off the list. It's not the best of them to use because, I don't know, it just doesn't give you the results. This stuff, I mean, you can get it in individual, you can get it in a pump bottle and all that, but it's water-based, it's easy to clean up, right? So that's the thing. It becomes your life. And for me, it kicked up a bit of a depression, to be quite honest, because I'm like a doer. I'm always on the go, right? Sorry, the sun sets. It's blowing off the light here. But I'm always on the go. And being sort of tied to a bed basically for, you know, a month was really, really, really difficult. We're supposed to take 8 weeks off. Now, by the time you get home, you're almost at 2 weeks. So after I was home 2 weeks, I actually asked if I could go back to work. And my work involves a medical responder and a lot of walking. So the trick there is you don't want to push things, because you can get this situation called hypergranulation. And that's when the wound stops healing, and there's only one treatment for it, silver nitrate, and it can take a while. It's uncomfortable. It just, you know, you feel like your world's ending, you know, because the whole time you're in the post-op process, you hear about all these, this complication and that. And I have had some friends go through GRS and go through absolute hell. I've seen one have stitches pop. I've seen all kinds of things, from people not doing their dilation to the works. And some of the problems are self-imposed. You pop your stitches, that's not your problem, right? Another friend went out for far too long one day, and she ended up with a hypergranulation problem. So a lot of the complications are avoidable. Some aren't. I mean, if you get some of the bigger ones, you just got to get it fixed. I will say it's worth it going through this. It's not a terribly long surgery, but unlike most surgeries, you don't get to walk away after. You've got this routine for a long time, especially the intense part. You've got this routine for quite a long time. It's yours to deal with. For me, every day, because I felt like such a prisoner, I put a mark on the wall and crossed it off. It would look like a jail cell next to me, because I was counting off the days. And there's only so much TV and videos you want to watch, and books you want to read. So I opted to go to work early. And thankfully, I work with people who are pretty accommodating. And it was funny, between bursts of activity, I would sit at my desk, and I had like bicycle shorts on, and then my uniform pants. And I would just open them up, and I would shove ice bags down my pants. So the guy I worked with, he just thought that was hilarious, right? Because he's watching his movie, and I'm sitting basically across from him, shoving cold ice bags down my pants. The recovery process, I will tell you, is a mental game. Go in strong, and you'll be fine. Go in weak, and it will eat you alive. I have a friend right now who is preparing a book on what it's like to go through this surgery. And she's having a section written by me, a section written by another person who just only went through it last year. And then she's going to write the third section, because she's going through it in about 10 days. It's going to be a good book. And I think it's going to be a seminal work that every pre-op should read to get themselves ready. Because the one thing I had a complaint about was they didn't do any mental prep. They were very good at telling me the risks of the surgery, checking me in, caring for me post-op, but nobody at all mentally prepared me for that surgery. And I felt like that was the weakest point of the whole system. because the psychiatric stuff you go through and the psychological stuff you go through is all to gauge whether you're mentally fit enough to do the entire transition as a whole. For the real life experience, for the hormones, for the changes. Are you okay with this? Do you have a comorbid condition that needs addressing before you really move on to this? But none of it is geared towards having you ready to go through this. It's unbelievable. But I will say this, okay? It's doable. You can do it. Without a doubt, you can do it. It's only 6 weeks, 8 weeks. And I'll tell you this, you'll hit week 12 and you'll realize that your life is getting back to normal. You'll realize that you're on the other side, and you'll realize that you hit your goal, that you're whole, that you're ready to take on the rest of your journey, and you never have to do it again. If you like this video, please subscribe, give it a thumbs up, hit the bell so you get more of these. I'm enjoying doing these. This is vlog number, I think 43 or 44. I'm getting a lot out of it, and I hope you are as well. It's just so much fun. If I can do any videos for you guys to help you through the process, talk about any bit of this, I'm all in. Leave me a message in the comments or DM me on Twitter, all that sort of thing. But please subscribe if you're watching this, because I'd really love to be able to communicate with you regularly. I still have quite a ways to go on my journey, but I'm ecstatic with what I've done. GRS is the toughest one of all of them, of all the surgeries you can do. But you only have to do it once. You never, if you take care of yourself during the process, you'll never have to worry about it again. Stick with the recovery regimens. Listen to the doctors. It's important. If any of you watching this video are on the recovery and you are struggling, DM me on Twitter. Okay, I will make sure that my Twitter handle is in the description of this video. DM me on Twitter and I will help you. Because I never had anybody when I went through this, because I didn't know any other trans people other than my roommate who went through this with me, and she was on the other side of the world. That's when we went home. She went back to the UK. So if you're stuck, if you're questioning something, if you just want a bit of reassurance, DM me. I'm there. Okay? Anyway, I'll see you guys tomorrow with a new video. Not quite sure what it's going to be yet, because I haven't laid out the week. Please again subscribe, like it, leave a comment, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Okay, bye bye.